Let's check out Asmongold's first impressions with Lost Ark. He seems pretty happy about it, so let's see what he has to say.
What's up, boys? Well, since I didn't stream today, I figured I'd sit out here, make a video, talk to y'all a little bit about Lost Ark, give my first impressions about it. It's been a week now that the game's been out. I think it's about time to make a video and just kind of talk about, good to bad and everything else in between. So anyway, Lost Ark obviously came to the West last week, today, last week. And it had been out in Korea for years. It had been out in Russia for, I think, also years. People have played it with VPN and just with different clients, etc. here in the US as well. And it was really, really hyped up. Obviously, that was exacerbated by the fact that Amazon had Twitch drops for it, which even further inflated the interest that people had for it, which especially was good for my channel and is good for my channel, as well as a number of other people's. But I think the main thing that I can say that I think most people agree with...
I'm really not a big fan of drops. Like, we had drops as well, but I still don't like the system. I think it fundamentally shifts the power to the people who get access to drops, which not everybody had access to drops. Which, even though I emailed Amazon and I told them, I don't want to be a part of your Lost Ark creator program before the release of the game, Amazon is just like, we don't care. Here's drops. All right, whatever. But it's I think that drops is a serious problem, because basically who tends to get drops on Twitch? It's gonna be the big streamers. It's always gonna be the big streamers that get the best drops, the most exclusive shit, which basically is kind of like free promotion for the company that owns the video game. So of course they're gonna give it to the biggest streamers. And the small streamers, what do they get? They get fucking nothing. So it's been said multiple times by people who understand how shit works on Twitch, that Twitch is a kingmaker system. What does that mean? If you're on top, you're going to pretty much remain on top, right? Like the whole system is built around who's the most popular person, and that person gets featured the most. And small creators, y'all get the shaft and fuck off. And this is why I don't really... I'm probably never going to consider Twitch my primary platform, because it's a kingmaker. There's literally no room to grow on Twitch. Like, all the growth that you ever see on this channel comes from YouTube. Like, there's no organic growth that I've ever gotten from Twitch. Like, zero, nada, actually zero, literally zero. A majority of you found this channel through YouTube and not through Twitch. 1,000% guaranteed. But yeah. And that's the other thing. It's bad for devs too. If your game doesn't have drops, you're going to have a bad time. Exactly. Because basically someone can come in with drops. I mean, I think they pretty much showed that when they had that game. Which one was it? Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov, I seem to remember not a lot of people were talking about it back in the day. Suddenly, boom, big drops events. Everybody knows what the fuck Escape from Tarkov is today. Literally everybody knows Escape from Tarkov. But yeah. To be honest, 14 had worse system than drops. 14 had the event where you had to gift subscriptions. I actually don't think that's a worse system than drops. I don't think that's a worse system than drops. It kind of sucks for people that didn't get it, like I didn't get it either. But I don't think it's worse than drops, because that one was like you had to gift... How many subs? Was it like 4 subs or something? You had to gift subs to the streamer community or something. Is it 4 or 5 subs? You had to gift 5 subs to the streamer, and then you would get them out. See, that I feel like that's almost like just selling them out on the store. The difference is the streamer is the one. It's almost like the streamer is selling you them out. And that to me is better, because like at least you're not sitting there fucking waiting for 5 hours or whatever to get the drop. And you don't even care about the streamer. You're just sitting there because you want the drop. You have the thing fucking muted in the background. You just go in there, you drop a fat load of cash, and you come out. So I'm not necessarily against that. I'm also not a big fan that, obviously not everybody has access to it, and that always fucking sucks. But I still think that drops are worse. Anyway.
Here is that Lost Ark had a huge...
Monster Hunter Rise did this too? What do you mean? What did Monster Hunter Rise do? Monster Hunter Rise had drops on Twitch? I don't know, because I streamed it on YouTube, so we don't have drops on YouTube ever. The Fox Mask? What about the Fox Mask? On PC release, they did gifted subs. So you would gift subs and you would get the Fox Masks? Is that what you're saying? Interesting. It's a drop on PC, the Fox Mask. Oh, okay. I wasn't even aware that was a thing.
Splash. It was much bigger, and it's held a lot more players than New World certainly has at this time. Like, if you look at New World on release day, and then New World a week after release day, those are two different numbers. With Lost Ark, that hasn't really been the case. It's retained a lot more of its player base, and that's despite number of server issues and people not being able to log in, people being stuck in queue, etc. So even with that many people not being able to play the game, you're still seeing Steam concurrent player counts in the millions. And not really millions, it's above 1 million, which is still insanely good. And I want to talk a little bit about kind of why I think that is, the reason why people like the game, and also just why I like the game. So the fact is that, and I want to make sure I get this out of the way right now, there's always going to be
still a million players.
This has been happening
That's
on my
impressive.
stream about like, I don't know, about every 3 minutes or so for the whole stream. People bring up the fact that Lost Ark is pay to win. This is generally like my opinion on pay to win. I think that if you can ever spend real money and gain an advantage that makes your character more powerful at max level in any way, or to accelerate a farming of that advantage that makes it more powerful, it's pay to win. In that depth.
There you go. There you go. If anybody had any questions, there you go. Just listen to what this man had to say. Thank you. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Definition, Lost Ark is pay to win. I think it's pay to win. Is it still fun? Yeah, it's still fun, but it's also pay to win. And guess what? You know what else is pay to win in that circumstance? World of Warcraft. So I just want to get that out of the way.
And guess what? You know what else is pay to win in that circumstance? Final Fantasy XIV. It is. It's to a much lesser degree, mind you, a degree that personally doesn't really bother me, but I still wouldn't be a hypocrite and say, oh, it's not pay to win. I mean, you can buy additional retainers to sell more stuff in the marketplace and make more money than other players. It's pay to win. You can buy a bike that goes faster before other players get maps and stuff like that, which gives you at least a timed advantage for a while. It's pay to win. You can level boost, and with your level boost, you get 500,000 gil. Is it a good way to make gil? No. Is 500,000 gil a lot? Fuck no. 500,000 gil is nothing. But can you essentially convert, real money for currency? Yeah, you can. It's not a very effective thing, and it's extremely limited because once you max out your jobs, well, I guess you can get another character and max out more jobs, and then get another character, max out more jobs, but I think that's a terrible way to buy gil.
I want to talk about that a whole lot, but I know it is a reason for a lot of trepidation. My best advice to anybody who's holding off because of that or doesn't want to play because of that, make your own best decision. You can play the game for free whenever you want. You can do that or not. It's kind of up to you. But anyway, the one thing I tell you not to do is don't fucking go beyond your finances spending money on a fucking video game. That's some bullshit. Yep. So anyway, the fact is that Lost Ark has been hyped up by a lot of people. I've seen videos about it for a long time. Obviously got announced it was coming to the West, published by Amazon over a year ago at this point, and everybody's been really excited about the game, and you can see that with the numbers, the player base, and I think also the game itself has been a breath of fresh air in many regards. I think that the just complete nonchalant nature of the game, it just completely going against a number of the Western mores and social rules, and just doing whatever the fuck it wants. Every female has high heels, of course they do, duh. Everyone has huge ass titties, of course they do, duh.
And then we hide them because they had to censor the classes in the game and whatnot. But yeah, sure.
Like, that's just the way the game is. And I think that's a breath of fresh air for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. But again, that's not really a big reason why you play a video game. There's plenty of, bullshit fucking sex simulator games on Steam that nobody plays. So why are people really playing Lost Ark? I think the reason why is because people always are looking for the new MMO. They're always looking for the next big thing. They're looking for that next game that they're going to invest 1,000 or 10,000 hours in, depending on their employment. And the fact is that I'm that same person, right? I'm looking for that next adventure. I'm looking for the new frontier. And I think Lost Ark's in a very particular position because it's a known entity, but at the same time, it's not. Because a lot of people can't really play Lost Ark here in America, but for years we've probably heard at this point that Lost Ark is this incredible game. The developers, Smilegate, have an amazing relationship with their player base over there in Korea, and it's generally well liked and it's well received, and beyond all of that, it's growing. And if you contrast that with games like World of Warcraft or New World, which was also published by Amazon and developed by them as well, you can see a very, very stark contrast. And I think that promise of success and that proven success metric is one of the big reasons why people looked at Lost Ark and thought to themselves, this could actually be a legitimate thing. Because the reason why, and I'll talk about this just for a minute here, is the reason why people care about having an MMO that has a lot of players on it is really simple. Why would you want to farm mounts on a server that nobody else was on in World of Warcraft or any game, right? There are people that care about single player achievements, but I think that if you look at human psychology, and every regard in life, you can have gold stars, you have expensive sports cars, you have different preferential things at work that are pretty much cosmetic. People love cosmetics, and the reason why they love cosmetics is they get to show them off. And it's one of the main compelling things in life is to have something that you've earned that you can show off, that is able to show off that you've earned it. So I think that that's why people want to play an MMO that a lot of people are also playing, is so they can show that stuff off to other people. And also, like, you feel like you're part of something that's like happening. You feel like you're part of something that's happening now, not happened before.
I think it's more this second part than necessarily all the cosmetic things. I mean, sure, some people like to show off cosmetics and whatnot, but I think a big portion of people, they're just like, oh, everybody's playing this game, therefore I need to play this game. I think that it's more of that than anything else. That's at least the vibe that I've been getting over the last couple of years. Because you look, for instance, on Twitch, and every game has like their heyday within the first week or so. Because, oh, everybody's playing this game now, I need to jump in and play this game. And then, depending on the longevity of the game, the game's popularity goes down significantly later down the line.
Not as, like beginning to stop happening, like New World or something like that. You feel like you're on the up and up, and it feels like things are moving forward and it's a positive thing. So I think that's a big reason why you see so many people that are fixated on the player numbers, and it's not necessarily the number itself. I think it's where the number is going. So, like, for example, if New World had 400,000 concurrent players right now, well, I would consider New World a massive success. Honestly, I really would, especially with it being just a buy-to-play game with no other real microtransactions besides cosmetics. That's a huge success. But the fact is that it's going down, and that's why people, even in the first week of New World, whenever it had, for all intents and purposes, very healthy player numbers, were still worried. And even in the first month, whenever it maintained those healthy player numbers.
The problem with New World, for me, and I think the problem for a lot of people, was how long it took them to enable server transfers. And then and this is actually what caused me to stop playing the game, was that not only they took too long to enable server transfers, because I wanted to transfer to a less populated server pretty much in the first week, like, because stuff was going crazy. The thing was, I was like 10 hours in or whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'm 10 hours in. I don't want to go back and do a new character. I just want to play the game, right? And so I wanted to go to a less populated server where I could play with people and I didn't have to deal with friggin' 2 hour long queues every single day. And, they promised, oh, we'll let you transfer. And then at the end of that week, they didn't implement transfers. Then at the end of the second week, they fucked it up and they said like, oh, we weren't able to do it. This is too complicated. Then at the end of the third week, they're like, oh, we figured out how to do it, but we're not going to do it now because the weekend is coming. And then on the fourth week, which is like a full fucking month, a full fucking month. Then they're like, oh, we're going to enable transfers. They enable transfers, and what happens? They fucking destroyed the game's economy. They literally destroyed the game's economy when they enabled transfers. And of course nobody wants to play the fucking game now because you've destroyed the economy. Not to mention that the economy is already in fucking shambles because you designed it so goddamn poorly because the economy is designed around, tier 1 materials. You always need fucking tier 1 materials for everything in exponential amounts. Like, what did you expect? You expected people to exponentially keep farming tier 1? Are you crazy? That's the equivalent of people playing Monster Hunter and having, like, every time they want to make a weapon, they need to kill 100 great Jagras. I'm not even joking, by the way. This is actually the scale that we're talking about. If you wanted to be leveling up, like, your crafting shit at high level, you have to do the equivalent of killing 100 Jagras. 100 great Jagras. That's what you're talking about here. Which is ridiculous. Nobody wants to go and kill fucking 100 great Jagras, just like nobody wants to go and fucking log 1,000 fucking trees. Or gather like 1,000 fucking silk of my balls. Like, come on. Come on now, Rui, that's a bit too much. I'm not even exaggerating. Here's the thing. If anything, 100 great Jagras is an estimate conservative. It's a conservative estimate.
To an extent, they were worried because it was going down. And I think that people see Lost Ark and they see the success it's had in other regions and they see it going up. And that gives them a certain amount of security whenever they feel like they want to emotionally and mentally invest themselves into a game, because that's one of the big factors that MMOs have, is that there's a lot of emotional investment, there's a lot of time investment into them, and people basically, they don't want to build a castle on sand. You don't want to play a game that...
I think that this is actually a wrong way of going about it, but I understand that he is right, because he's talking about what people want to do. And he's 1,000% correct, which is they want the security of being in a game that is popular, of being in a game that is going to live for a long time. But I think that's completely the wrong way to go about it, because, if I thought like that, I would have never played Monster Hunter because it wasn't popular in the West. If I thought like that, I would have never played Demon Souls because it wasn't popular in the West. I would have never played Dark Souls because people forget, but when Dark Souls came out, it was not popular at all. It was not popular at all. And it's like, people need to get out of this mindset of like, I only play things that are popular because otherwise it does not justify my time investment. It's like, no, you know what doesn't justify your time investment is playing something that you're not enjoying. Like, if you're enjoying Lost Ark, by all means, freaking play it. Play it all the way. But don't play Lost Ark just because it's the popular new thing that all of the streamers are playing. Because if you do that, you're dumb. It's just like, like I played it for a little bit because I wanted to see what it was all about. And then I was like, I don't think it's for me. Whatever, I'm going to move on. It's like, I don't give a fuck if there's like a million opportunities for me to create content around the game, which actually I am still creating content around the game, thinking about it, but probably not for long. But it's like, I don't give a fuck if there's a million opportunities for me to create content around it if I'm not enjoying it. That's just the way that I look at things. It's like, listen, it's not about how popular something is. It's about how fun something is,
Everybody ends up quitting in a month, and you've invested all this time into it, and now nobody cares what you've accomplished. I think that would make sense in many regards. So the fact is that Lost Ark has... that, I think, is the biggest promise of Lost Ark in general. I just want to kind of let people understand that. And now I want to talk about like the actual individual functions of the game. And I want to preface this by saying I haven't really done any PvP at all, so I can't speak on that. I've heard positive things, but I'll have to experience it myself to really have a actual opinion on it. But other than that, I've leveled through the story. I went through it, pretty slowly, read all the quests, watched all the cinematics, did all the stuff, collected all the Mokoko seeds, and, got the little mounts and did like the complete...
Wait, he collected all the Mokoko seeds? Was he like watching a guide or something? Or did he organically found all the Makoko seeds? Like, there's no way. There's no way he organically found all the Makoko seeds. That's insane. That is wild.
Stuff in each zone, the typical Asmongold waste your time bullshit. I did all of that, and I have been doing that, and I'm going to, as soon as I finish this video, continue doing that. So, what did I think about different factors? I think that the character creation is good, it's passable. Is it BDO? No, it's not BDO. But does everything have to be BDO? I would say probably not.
What I have to say about character creation is this game has some sick ass dwarves, and I can't make one. 0 out of 10, would never play again.
I think character creation is more than sufficient. It's totally fine. And also, you have like different outfits you can put your character on. I'd say it's like about as good as Final Fantasy 14s, you could say, somewhere around there. Definitely better than WoW's, like 100%. But it is that one step above that. Definitely better than New Worlds, of course, like 200% there. So anyway,
Not
I
particularly
think the main
high
thing
bars.
that people really enjoy about Lost Ark is the combat. The combat is the main factor that I think attracts a lot of people. And not only is it the factor that attracts a lot of people, but it's also the factor that keeps them playing. The way that Lost Ark feels to me is basically like Diablo if Diablo was an MMO. And the reason why I'm using Diablo and not Path of Exile is that, number one, Path of Exile is so diverse that somebody playing a Righteous Fire Inquisitor is just going to play a completely different way than somebody playing a a Deadeye or something like that, or whatever it is, an Archer, basically, any bow class. So what I'm really trying to say here is that the experience that you have is to some degree formulaic, and it because it's formulaic, it's better balanced, which has its positives and it has its negatives. There are a lot of ways you can customize your character, a lot of little tiny things like having special cards that give you bonuses, etc. And there are a lot of just little things that you can do to make your character more powerful, but in terms of like truly changing the dynamic in which your character plays, you don't have a whole lot of resources as compared to a game like Path of Exile. But
Yeah, see, this was another thing that I noticed as I was leveling up my character. It was that I was like, it doesn't seem like this character is going to change that much. Like, the abilities are going to feel reasonably similar. The only thing that's going to change is the numbers. Numbers go up. Like that's it. That's at least what it looked like to me. It's like it's going to be numbers are going to steadily go up when you start messing with engraving, gear optimization, and all this stuff. The numbers just go up, and that's pretty much it. Which is not as appealing to me as like completely changing your playstyle with a character.
compared to a game like Diablo 3, I would say you probably have as much or more. I would probably say more. So because of that, I think that the game offers really, really strong like core gameplay. And you immediately go into the game. It's not like you're using one ability for the first 3 hours. You immediately start getting different abilities, and the game ramp up is very, very fast, which means that you don't start with, as I said, like 2 abilities for the first 10 hours. You get a number of different abilities. You're learning how these abilities combo together. You're, being put into dungeons. There are solo dungeons, and in my opinion, I think the solo dungeons while leveling, that is the best part of leveling. And I just in general think the combat is probably the biggest strength of Lost Ark, because there's a certain visceralness of
It
the
feels
Diablo
good to
3
push
combat
buttons.
that makes it in some ways still compelling. Now, obviously, I don't really play Diablo 3 anymore, but if I was going to, that would be one of the main reasons why. And I can feel that same thing in Lost Ark. I think also to wrap that up, TLDR, combat is fucking awesome. I really, really like the combat in Lost Ark, and I've been hearing the same thing from almost everyone. So the next thing I want to talk about is the story. Now, the story is
It's not great. Let's see what he has to say. But I mean, like, look, dude, it's Armin, and Armin's like, yeah, we need to find that lost ark, dude. You can go ahead, and I'll meet you in a second. It's like, oh, you found the ark yet? No? Oh, damn, dude. We got to keep finding it. Let's go over here. It's like, oh, did we find the Ark yet? No, but now we have to help this prince get his kingdom back. Okay, let's do that. And then you do that, and it's like, hey, we found the Ark yet? It's like, no, but this prince is going to give you a stronghold. Oh, that's great. Let's keep finding the Ark. And that's about how far as I got into the story.
It is a story.
It's a story.
There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. And there are things that happen in that story. And some of those things are climactic. You could even call it a story. That's about it. It's just, in my opinion, it's about as good as the Diablo story, Diablo 3. It's pulp fiction.
Yeah, that's because the story of Diablo 3 is fucking dog shit, which I've said multiple times, by the way, and you can fucking quote me on that. Diablo 3 story is fucking dog shit. Diablo 2 story is decent. Diablo 1 story was good. Diablo 2 is decent. Diablo 3 is fucking dog shit.
You know, it has some interesting characters, Carmine, Father Armand, and I haven't finished all of the little quest lines and everything like that, but as I said, I've played through, you know, at least probably 50 hours, 40 hours of it. I think that, you know, you've pretty much got an idea of what's going on. This is not...
I actually think that the cinematic set pieces are better than the story. Like, I think watching the cinematic set pieces is way better than playing it for the story.
Not Heaven's Word, okay? It's not. But it's also not Shadowlands. And that's pretty good. You know what I mean?
Like, I mean, if the bar is Shadowlands, holy shit. If the bar is Shadowlands, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, hey, somebody got a notebook? Hand me a notebook. I'll write a better story than Shadowlands, and then I'll wipe my ass with it.
At this point, we'll fucking take it. The story is passable. It's okay. It can be entertaining. There are really, really cool parts in the story. I love how the story integrates the isometric camera angle, and it rotates it a lot.
Yeah, the camera work is really good.
Don't want to play Lost Ark because of the isometric camera angle, and I felt the same way about Diablo 3 because I never played Diablo 2, so it was my first game that I played that was isometric in that regard, and I thought I wouldn't like it, and I started playing it, and after a couple of hours, that's all I wanted to do was play it. So I feel like click to move is definitely a learning curve for a lot of people. For me, I've played Diablo 3, I've played Path of Exile for collectively thousands of hours. So there was really no transition problem there for me. But I would say if you're an MMO player and that's something that's holding you back, try to give the game 5 hours. Give the game 5 hours, see how you feel, and then decide after that. And there's a good feeling, there's a good chance. By the way, at the end of that 5 hours, you say, I didn't like it, I knew I wouldn't like it, fuck you, Asmongold, you wasted my time. But
there you go.
At least you tried. And so that's what I would probably say to anybody who's like a little bit more on the fence about the isometric camera angle, is that they rotate it around, and especially in like the siege that they have, this is like maybe like about halfway through the story, the main story leading up to the Chaos Gates, at least to that point, that's where I'm at. That part of the story, like you're changing camera angle all the time, your character is seamlessly integrated, not only...
Wait, the siege is half of the story? I was halfway through the story. I should have pushed a little bit more to see the rest of it. I thought I was like 1/10 of the story in before I got to Endgame. If the siege is like halfway into the story, I was actually, maybe I should reinstall it, play it a little bit more. I don't know.
Only into cinematics, but in and out of cinematics. It's just incredibly well done. You think about like, what is the best experience that an isometric camera angle can deliver, and an isometric game can deliver, and I feel like Lost Ark delivers that experience. It absolutely does. However, I do wish it was free look. But, the next best thing is the best isometric camera that we've ever seen, or at least I've ever seen. So anyway, that's a huge positive to me. And also, I think that it allows them to kind of balance and control a lot more
Why
things.
would you though? You said the story was crap. I did, and the story is crap. The reason I would is because I still wanted to check out the raids. I just felt like it was going to take way too long to get there. That's the problem.
Much more tightly than a game like New World or a game like World of Warcraft, for example, in terms of the way that it's shown on the screen. So there's all these little objectives around in the game, and I think like basically if you're playing like the experience that I had playing Lost Ark is probably the exact same as somebody's experience playing Path of Exile for the first time today. You accidentally hit a key on your keyboard and you accidentally discover 2,000 hours worth of content that is, let's be honest, a fucking grind. But it is, things that you can do in the game. And it has like a minor effect on your character, and it can, do like a 5% more damage to demons or something like that with the cards, for example. But just overall, you have like all these different systems that build on each other. And because of that, I think that it's very appealing to people in that regard. And also, the mindless grinding and mindless farming, I think, is appealing in its own way. It has gathering that's a lot the same as like games like a RuneScape, right? Isometric camera angle gathering is, it is what it is, right? And you have like all these little different things that you can do as a player. And I think because of that, that's what really gets people engaged with the game, and that's what keeps them playing it. Is that the developers are trying to create different ways to play the game, which is a huge reason why I think World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it's the it's just the amount of content. It's just sheer amount of content. It's got tons and tons and tons of content.
Final Fantasy 14 are so successful is that whenever you can log on and play Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft completely different than somebody else. Somebody can log on and be a just for example a balding mount farmer, or they can log on and be a mythic raider, or they can log on and be a PvPer, or they can log on and be a role player. And those 4 different ways of playing the game are just so radically different that the only thing that they have in common is that they're playing the same game. That's literally it. And I think that Lost Ark tries to emulate that in a pretty good regard. It has a castle system that you can make, like garrisons or player housing that you have a lot of time that you can invest into. And again, like a lot of these things do have mobile game mechanics built into them, so I don't really know like what the longevity for me enjoying these things are going to be. And that's what, I'll probably make a full review video in maybe like a month or 2 months or so, once I've really had a chance to interface with all the systems sufficiently to where I feel confident to talk about them.
I'm curious to see that video.
Look forward to that, but that's not going to happen yet. Again, first impressions is it seems passable, but I can easily see that there is a huge mindless grind. And anyway, I think that just overall, Lost Ark was a breath of fresh air for a lot of people who were maybe burned by New World. They'd finished Final Fantasy Endwalker at this point. They're waiting on 9.2 and WoW, and there's just nothing else really going on. This cool new...
Who the fuck is waiting for 9.2? Okay, that's unfair. Okay, if you guys are playing WoW, play WoW, enjoy it. It's like whatever. 9.2. Diligent farming. If you commit to diligent farming.
New quirky Korean MMO comes out with like isometric camera angle. All the females are really hot. It's like, you know what? Let's try it out. See how it's gonna go. And I feel like that's why we see so many people playing the game. The story's okay, the combat's phenomenal, the end game is, again, it's pretty grindy, but one of the good things about the end game, this is something I really miss with WoW, is that in order to get to tier 3, you have to do tier 2. And I like how it builds on each other, and it creates a lot of levels that you have to go through in the end game, rather than you just start at, 4.9, you have to go to 4.10, and 8 through 1 just don't matter at all. So I'm really glad that Lost Ark doesn't really have that problem. Of course, they do have some catch-up mechanisms built into it because it released with Tier 3. But overall, I think that the experience for a lot of people is going to be much more, it's going to have much more longevity than something like in World of Warcraft right now, for example, unless you count in farming shards of domination. So anyway, I think that just in general, the game, it's very alt friendly as well. You can do a lot of things on your alts. You're even encouraged to play your alts, maybe too much,
That's a good
but
thing.
that's, it depends, right? I mean, it depends on that's the way you like playing a game or not, and how much you want to min max. I just play a berserker. Why would I need to play anything else? However, I meant like a gun lancer and a paladin, but I don't really see myself playing any other classes besides that. But we'll see what happens. Again, we'll see what happens. So anyway, again, the game's had a lot of success in other regions. Obviously, this game does have some pay-to-win mechanics that do give a lot of Western players trepidation, and I respect that, and I share that trepidation as well. And I'll review the game and try to give it the most honest shake as possible whenever I'm able to learn everything about the systems. But right now, I'll tell you guys the truth. For the last month or so, or last week or so, I mean to say, I've logged on to my stream. I've looked forward to it every single fucking day, except for today.
Hey, that's
I haven't
cool.
got enough sleep for a few days. I needed to oversleep today. But I did get a chance to, I get to play it all the other days. I've looked forward to it. I've been excited about it. I love the goofiness. I love the quirkiness. I love the combat. And, I think it's just in general a fun game to play. And it's a free-to-play game, too. So if it's something you're interested in, I'd say play it. If it's not, I'd say fuck it. So that's about all I've really got to say. And in general, it's a pleasant surprise. I wouldn't actually even really say surprise. I was expecting it to be good because it already has proven success. But again, Western markets are different. So we'll see how it evolves. And, I'll come back to this in a couple of months. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.
What happened?
Whoa, preach. Relax. It's not your turn yet. It's a good video. I'm glad that he's enjoying it at least. That's a good thing. But see, that's one of the things that at least he's so down to earth and he's like, yeah, it is pay to win. I don't care. It's like, yeah, that's what you should be like. You should not care. What you shouldn't do is like try to move the goalposts and redefine whether or not something is pay to win just because you're playing it. Play it or don't play it. Who cares? Just don't like shift the goalposts. Come on. He will care once it will hurt him. What will it hurt him though? I mean, the dude's a millionaire. If he really likes the game, he can just like pay to win if he wants to. And if the game retains its level of popularity, it'll actually be worth it from a financial standpoint. I mean, listen, you need to understand, there was that one stream that he was in when he was watching the Russian guy video. And when the dude was talking about the pay-to-win thing, Asmongold just said, hey, any primers? Do you guys have Amazon Prime? You guys can check right now if you have Amazon Prime, and you can hit the button because you can just give it to me because, I mean, you're going to give it to somebody else. And you just got like friggin' 1,000 subs. That's like on a basic Twitch contract, that's $2,500 in like a second. Okay, he can afford to pay to win if he wants to. He'll be fine. And that's a Twitch-based contract, which let's just be real. There's no way that Asmongold's on a Twitch-based contract, all right? He's like on a 70-30 split minimum. Minimum 70-30. Most likely 80-20. But yeah. It's all this woke bollocks like, what is winning? What are you winning? What is a woman? What is winning? It's like I was saying the other day. It's like you see a burning house. This is how I look at a lot of people that are like playing Lost Ark and they're enjoying it. And whenever they come to me and they're like, well, what's winning? And it's like, I feel like these people are looking at a house that's on fire. And it's like it's burning down to cinders. There's like big flames are coming out of this house. And someone walks past them and says, holy shit, that house is on fire. And these people would turn to the other person as like, define fire. It's like, no, the house is not on fire. The source material is just undergoing a change. It's changing from a house to a pile of charcoal. It's undergoing change. It's not on fire. Okay. All right, dude. Whatever you say.